Welcome back. Today, we're going to take a step back from the bar and get into the kitchen. And today I have this incredible dish that I know you're going to love that's easy. It's not fast, but it is easy. This isn't something you just start and then walk away from. You are going to be in the kitchen for at least 1 hour to prep it, and then it's going to take at least another 2 hours to cook on its own. But again, very simple, very economical. It is the Italian Bolognese sauce. You could probably make enough to feed 4 to 6 people with less than like $10. The first thing you want to do is you want to get a pound of ground beef. Traditional recipe calls for a mix of ground beef and pork. So what you want to do is you want to get a heavy bottom pot, preferably like a Dutch oven, which is basically cast iron coated with porcelain or enamel. You don't need any oil here. If you get the 80% to 20 ground beef, there's enough fat in there so it won't stick to the bottom of the pan. But we're going to deglaze later with a little bit of wine anyway. So get that pan hot, put the meat in there, salt it with a half a teaspoon of salt, and break it up. You want to get this thoroughly cooked, but it doesn't have to be completely brown on the inside because again, don't worry about this cooking, it is going to cook for over 2 hours. While that's happening, you want to take your vegetables. About a cup of chopped onion, carrots, and celery. You could do this by hand. Just make sure you get the pieces really, really tiny, really, really small. But if your knife skills aren't that great, use a small food processor. This one I got in the local supermarket is incredible. I've tried the big food processors, the professional ones. Honestly, for my needs, this one that's less than $20 does the job just as good, if not better. And I use it from everything from soups to sauces. You want to cut your vegetables into small sizes about the size of your thumb, get them thin, and put that in the food processor and just get them all chopped up. You want this relatively small, and then once all that beef is cooked, you want to add it to the pot. And this is the time to add the other half teaspoon of salt. Stir it up, and once they start to soften, put a tablespoon of butter in there and mix that in there well. Next, you want to add your tomato paste. A whole can of this is fine. You're not going to get every drop out, and that's okay. If it's only about 5 ounces, that works just as well. You want to stir that in there and get it all integrated and mixed in well. Scrape up the bottom in case it starts to stick. And now we're going to deglaze it with a little bit of wine. I typically use white wine. I suppose you can use red wine. It's really more about the acidity and the alcohol getting up the bits at the bottom of the pan. Stir it up. Make sure it all burns off. Once that's done, you want to add a full cup of whole milk. I've experimented with this. You could use 2% milk, you could use heavy cream, you could use light cream, you could use half and half. You could use a combination. It's really whatever I have in the refrigerator. I'm going to keep stirring that until it reduces. And now it's time for the second reduction. Another cup of milk or cream. Once that reduces, then we want to add a cup of beef stock. Stir that up well. And now we want to put in our bay leaves. Up to this point, you're going to be about 45 minutes into it. But now the hardest part of this dish is over. Now it's just sit and wait for 2 hours. You can stir it as often as you like, but again, this takes patience. Now you can go sit on the couch or do whatever you were doing, but keep an eye on it. About 2 to 2.5 hours later, you're going to have this most delicious sauce. Better than you could probably get in any Italian restaurant. My pasta of choice for this is pappardelle, the fresh pappardelle. You could buy that in the supermarket. You can buy it in specialty Italian food places. But this goes just as well with fettuccine that you buy in the supermarket, rigatoni, penne rigate. Almost any sauce works with this. It's so thick it's going to stick to no matter what kind of pasta you put in there, whether it be fresh or hard or dried, whatever. I just happen to like it with fresh pappardelle because that's the way I imagine they're eating it in Italy. Don't be afraid to add a little bit of your salted pasta water after it's been boiling. That's going to release all the starches. You got the salt in there. You add that to the pan. Because how you finish this is you take your pasta, you drain it, you put it into the pan, and you continue to stir it for a minute or two over the stove in another pot so that the pasta is thoroughly coated. Serve this with Parmesan cheese, cracked black pepper, because you notice we didn't add any garlic or any pepper, just exactly what I showed you here.